Hi there, I'm Jen Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer. If you're feeling drained, hesitant, stuck in self-doubt, or you just have a case of the vlogs, the Art of Badassery podcast is here to help you unleash your mojo once and for all. We'll provide you with tips, techniques, and real-life examples of how you can kick ass in all areas of your life. You'll learn how to flex your mental muscles, rise above fears, and turn setbacks into superpowers. So let's enter the dojo and let's get to work. Welcome everyone to the Art of Badassery podcast. I'm Jen Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer, and today I have a very dear friend and special guest, Tanya Memme, on the show today. But before we get started with an interview with Tanya, I just want to say welcome back. I took a little bit of a longer hiatus from the podcast, new episodes than I was planning to, and that is because on January 7th, as you all know and probably heard, there were wildfires raging here across Los Angeles. I personally, and my home was not affected where I had to evacuate or anything, but as we're going to talk about in this podcast, it was a really scary time, and my heart goes out deeply to every single person who has been affected by this tragedy, who has lost their homes, their loved ones, their belongings, their animals, the land, hiking trails, you name it. Entire neighborhoods are just gone and are not the same. So again, my heart goes out to all those people and the first responders, those brave men and women out there helping so many people. So thank you if you are listening. So with that said, I now want to welcome back Tanya Memme to the show, because if you go back in the podcast history, I believe it was episode 7 that we had Tanya on. Her episode was called Finding Gold at Rock Bottom. So in case you don't remember the episode, I just want to give you a little rundown of who Tanya is. She is the host of the hit TV show Sell This House, executive producer and host of Smart Home Nation, Miss World Canada, staging, design, and DIY expert, an inspirational speaker, and now a licensed real estate agent. Tanya has helped over 500 individuals and families sell their homes across the country. She has a natural passion for helping homeowners create the perfect sanctuary by bringing more love and inspiration into their home and their lives. Tanya, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jen.
So Tanya was deeply and directly affected by these fires. She lived in the Palisades, in the Pacific Palisades specifically. So Tanya, obviously there's so much that we can talk about, and you are in the thick of it right now. But would you just share kind of high level what happened to you on January 7th, if you're able to?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can. It's just, I've really had a difficult time getting my head back in the game of normal life. Because
Yes.
it's only been, today's like, I think it was 9 days ago, right? When this happened.
Today's January 26th. It's almost 20 days ago.
There's a massive time warp, which I keep forgetting because I feel like it happened like 5 days ago.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
keep forgetting that so many weeks have actually gone by. There's a lot of moments I have forgotten from the
Mhm.
time it happened until now.
But as we're listening to you speak, Tanya, I just want to remind folks that this is the trauma response, right? Speaking
Yes.
right now to us, and forgetting things, time slowing down, all these different things are part of the trauma response, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll have to look into that eventually, I'm sure. So here, I mean, you want to know what happened?
if you are willing to share, then yes. And I know some of you might have seen Tanya. She was on CNN sharing her story.
I don't even know the time, like the chronology of events. I don't even remember.
Right.
Um, but no, so it was a regular Tuesday. It was, we had just all gotten over our week off over the holidays, and we were starting our following week.
Mhm.
My mom was visiting from Canada, and she was at the house. There's me and my boyfriend OT and our cat. My daughter
Mhm.
was at school. So that morning we just, we dropped my daughter off the school bus, and OT and I went to Equinox Gym, which just newly opened in the Palisades. We've been
Yes.
waiting for months for this.
Is it still there?
It's still there, yeah, but no one's allowed to go and use it yet. But I will say on that, Equinox has been incredible. They're honoring everybody's memberships, and so we're allowed to go to any Equinox in the city,
Good.
and they're also not charging the people their monthly fee until we're allowed to go back, the people that are
Good.
in the Palisades. So
Great.
I have to say, like, it's incredible what companies are stepping up and which ones are not.
Right.
But anyway, so that morning we went to Equinox, we worked out, we came home, and I was on a Zoom call. I was on the Zoom call with Nate Butcher Group, which is the real estate agent. I'm with EXP, but I also am with the Nate Butcher Group team. And we were doing our team call, and I was like totally into it. And this was from 10 o'clock to 11 was our call. It was that Tuesday morning on the 7th. And then I saw OT in the background kind of getting like, I just noticed this really nervous like
Mhm.
energy in the house. My mom was still in the room. She had like her headphones on, listening to her, YouTube channel, completely oblivious to everything.
Right.
And then we saw the winds pick up. So the winds were going crazy. So like that already was just like, okay, it's just the winds, no big deal. But then I could smell sort of some smoke in the air. But we've smelt that before. My neighbors have a barbecue. Like, I don't know. I was so consumed in my Zoom call. And then all of a sudden, I started to see OT get very uncomfortable. So about half an hour into the Zoom call, I was just like, you guys, I got to get off the Zoom call and see what's going on outside. So
Mhm.
we could see the fire in our backyard, like flames at this point. And it was I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And we saw like just black smoke. We hadn't even been asked to evacuate at that time.
Wow.
So there was a warning evacuation, I think, or like a brush fire there's a vegetation brush fire, just a warning, but it wasn't evacuate yet. So I froze. I didn't know what to do. And so OT was, he's a veteran, so he went into full on army mode.
Oh, amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, right? To
Yeah.
have somebody like that around.
Very helpful.
Yeah, my husband would be like that, like
Yeah.
Boy Scout on steroids.
That's how he was. So
Yeah,
he went, gathered what he needed to gather. I'm standing there not knowing what to do. I froze.
fine.
It was just like I was like a deer in headlights. And
Hmm.
so then he comes in from the garage and hands me a suitcase, hands my mom, hands me, like we're all getting suitcases. He's like, put all your stuff in here, Ava's stuff in here, get your mom, get her off the headphones and get all, the cat, all of her stuff. And I was like, oh my God. So then in that very moment, you're like, well, what do I need? Like, what
Right.
do I need to get?
Mhm.
And so I just started grabbing the weirdest things. Like I couldn't think, right? So of course I got the jewelry and I got all the expensive things that I thought were, I don't have a lot of super expensive things anyway, but like I just grabbed what I had and
Right.
we have, crystals that we love. And so I kind of started to pack those, and
Because
so you just
those are
start,
important.
they're important,
Yep.
right? But then you're like, how much of my makeup do I get? What cosmetics do I get? Underwear? Like, so I grab like 3 pairs and like you just in the back of your mind, you also think you're going to go back. Like, you don't think
Exactly.
this is really real.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I just started. And then I went into Ava's room because I was like, okay, she's more important than I am at this point. So I went and I had to guess. And
Right.
I'm trying to call her, but she's at school. I couldn't get through. So I'm just guessing of what she would need, grab a bunch of stuff. Then I run into my mom's room and she's still like, do on her phone, on her headphones.
Oh,
And then that was when reality set in because like there were these windows behind her. You could see just black smoke and it was just getting worse and worse. So
uh,
we're panicking. You literally just grab what you can. We were lucky enough to be able to have those few minutes to grab what we could, fill up our cars.
yes.
And then Ava called me and she called me from some weird phone number.
Mm.
And she's like, Mom, she says, we're evacuating the school, but I lost my phone in the evacuation. So I'm calling
Oh,
someone's phone. So I was like, you have to call me every 15 minutes. I need to know where you are. So I go, I'm going to come to the school and I'm going to come get you. You know what I mean? So I'm in my car, OT's in his car. We're all separated. I'm with my mom and the cat in the
oof.
car. So we take off and I'm thinking I'm going to go to her school. So I get down to the bottom of the road on our street and it's total gridlock. So I
Mhm.
know right then and there I'm not getting to Ava's school. So then I'm trying to call her while I'm in gridlock, while I'm trying to navigate where do we go next. So if you went to the right, in the news where you saw everybody like leaving their cars and
Yes.
walking and getting out, what I
Yes.
didn't realize at the time is that was the direction I started going, which is the direction of the fire. But when you're in that situation, you can't tell where the fire is coming from. So the traffic was more going that way. So I'm just like, okay, let's just go that way. And so everyone's going around each other and they're
Mhm.
going in the wrong lanes. And it's just complete chaos. And then
Can
the
I
fire,
just stop you there for a second? Because
yeah,
this is reminding me of another podcast episode that I had on, which was Amanda Ripley, and she's like an expert in disasters. Everyone, you can go back to that episode because it's so good. And what she said, because I was listening to you tell this story on CNN, and I was thinking it would be like that too. Like everyone would just be chaotic. What she's found after studying disaster after disaster is that most people are actually more kind during disasters than we would think they would be, right?
right. I'm finding the kindness after, but not during.
Okay.
There,
Okay.
I didn't sense kindness. I felt like everyone was like, to each
Right.
man
Out for
his own
yourself.
survival. And in this moment, so people were going in front of me. I was going in front, like, I was like, okay, well, if you're going to do that to me, then I'm just going to do the same. And then I did it the one time, and then I was like, okay, I need to just calm down. But like the fire is coming. Like
Yeah.
you see the fire on its way towards
That's
where you are.
so frightening.
Was
Terrifying.
on. And then I didn't know where OT was. And then I find out later after we shared stories, he actually went back to the house. My daughter couldn't find her favorite stuffed animal. He
Oh,
went back to the house. He totally risked his life to go and find her favorite stuffed animal. It's Cartman.
oh,
Cartman had a real collar from our cat that passed that my
oh,
daughter was very close to, and that stuffed
oh,
animal had on the real collar, and she was so devastated that we couldn't find it. We ripped the whole house apart looking for it. We never did find it. But
oh,
so then I didn't know where he was all this time. So we leave, and then he finally gets into his car. I'm in gridlock going one way. He's in gridlock going the other way. And, it was just one of those things where you don't know what the right decision is. You don't know the fire is that way because everything's gray and everything's black. And so we were stuck in the car for 2.5 hours. We were a couple 100 feet away from where everybody ended up ditching their cars and running. And we saw people with like dragging their suitcases and holding their animal. And then we saw policemen, there were breaks. Everyone was trying to get over to create space for the fire truck and the policemen. We saw them just running. There was 2 police cars running by us, but nobody was communicating with anybody. We were all in our cars, not knowing what to do with our windows rolled up because of the smoke, but no one was communicating with us. So we just didn't know could we go this way? Do we go that way? So everyone's just guessing. And then you see people like doing U-turns on the other side of the street and then U-turns on our side of the street. And so then I did a U-turn and you're panicking. And then my car started, we saw fire on both sides of the car in the fields, starting to go onto the street. And so that started to get very, very, very dangerous. We started to get hot. We put the air conditioning on. We're freaking out. I have video of that too.
I was checking in with you and you send me this. You're like, I'm just trying to get out. And for me, like just listening to that, I'm like, oh my God,
Did I
she can't
text
get
you that?
out.
Did I text you that?
Yes.
I did?
Yes.
I texted you during that time?
Yes.
Okay, don't even remember that. So did you know what I was talking about?
I figured you were stuck in gridlock. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just kind of
Yeah.
assumed that and I'm thinking like, can't get out of where? Can't get out of your house.
So at that very moment, I start getting phone calls. Here's the frustrating thing. I cannot get a hold of my daughter. My life is at stake with my mom. We're freaking out. I'm trying to get a hold of Ava while I'm trying to get a hold of OT to figure out like where do we meet? What's the plan? All
Yeah.
this stuff. And people start calling me, people that I don't even talk to that often start calling me, and I'm having to answer the phone because I think it's my daughter.
Oh.
And it was like information overload, and I just froze.
Oh.
He's trying to call me and I answer. He's like, "Where are you?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know where I am." And meanwhile, like I'm half a mile from my house.
Right.
"What's in front of you?" I go, "I don't know. I can't," and it was all like black smoke and you have stuff flying in the air. And I just completely went numb. And so my one word of advice, what I learned is that if you think somebody could be in a very traumatic event, don't call. Just do not call. They're trying desperately to call the people that they need to call. Send a text, send a text, say, "Hey, I'm here." But it can be way more traumatic when your phone is jammed with phone calls. When I was trying to reach my daughter and I couldn't. So then OT called me. By the time he called, I was just frozen. We were in the car for about 2.5 hours. He told me where to go. And so we finally went down Arno Way, which later was completely destroyed.
Oh.
So we went down that street. Our goal was just to get to the beach. And it's like, I'm 2 minutes from the beach and I couldn't get there. So
Wow.
So that was the hardest part. And then I finally went to our very good friend's house in Santa Monica. And then we went there, got out of the car. I was so shell shocked.
Right.
it was a weird feeling where I couldn't take in any information. And then I started getting text messages, phone calls, text messages, phone calls, emails, like it started to grow like crazy. So then I did one post on social media. I haven't been very active on social media. It's been really hard for me actually.
What keeps coming up for me and was coming up for me during that time and talking to you and watching the news was going through September 11th, right? And I've talked about it on this
Sure.
podcast. A lot of people out there know this story, but if anyone out there has been through major trauma like this, it's so relatable. I don't remember. It was about 2.5 hours from when the first tower fell to when I finally got to the dojo and felt safe. There are so many blurry spots that I are erased from my memory from walking 55 blocks to my sister's apartment that day. I have zero recollection. I have
Wow.
no idea. I've tried to remember in the past. It is gone, wiped clear from my memory, which is so interesting, right?
It's so weird. I'm still foggy.
The
Like,
fogginess, the
yeah.
discombobulation, not knowing where you are, all of these things. And it's also so interesting how, I think of my husband, Lindsay. He's got his go bags ready. Like he's just has this different mindset of like preparedness. And it sounds like OT as
He
well.
does too. Yes,
Yeah.
totally. He was much more focused than I was.
So, I mean, obviously we're going to continue with your story, but I just have all these questions too. And it
Yeah,
happened.
I mean, preparedness, of course, is very, very important. But like, I know, like, I have friends. I mean, we knew so many people that was our lives was in the Palisades, and
Yeah.
so a lot of them had 2 seconds to get out. So
Ugh.
in some cases, you can't be prepared. You're just
Right.
not. But what I did learn from this is at least write a list.
Mm.
At least have a list written of the things that you would take, just because your brain is not thinking properly. So at least
Right.
have a list written, hide it somewhere and keep it. And I would say just keep all of your important documents in one spot, not all
Mhm.
over the house.
So
Just
smart.
pick one spot.
So smart. Have a list. So again, I wasn't in the thick of it like you, but I still was packing a go bag and I did go to a hotel on Wednesday night. Okay, so long story
Yeah.
short, for everyone out there that doesn't know, Tuesday night was the night of the fires. I was flying into LAX looking at this inferno. The cabin fills with smoke. I'm like, we're going down. Like, I'm about to die. Once again, having this feeling like this is the end. I'm the woman next to me. She's like, do you want to hold my hand? I death grip her arm. We're going through turbulence. The plane is
I did not
shaking.
know this.
Yeah, because again, not that important, right? In this grand scheme of things. But the plane is like shaking like so bad that I think we're going down. I'm grabbing her. I'm like looking around, like, how is everyone else so calm? We finally land, and the woman's next to me, her little daughter was like 8 years old. And I'm like looking at her, like, she's so calm. As soon as we land, she like barfs into a bag. It was just,
It's interesting when you're in a crisis situation how calm everybody was.
right?
My mom and I were actually quite calm during, and most people were. Like when I was saying it was chaotic, that was at the beginning, but
Okay.
then we're sitting in the traffic.
Hmm.
And you could just see everybody in their car with their windows up, just filled with their house. Everything that they ever owned was in their car with their pets. And they're just like, everyone's just like, there
Mhm.
is weird calmness whenever there's like a
Yes.
situation right in
Yes.
front of
So again, just back to the valuables thing, it's like again out there. So question for you all, like what is your valuables? What do you consider so valuable that you would need to take with you? And I looked around my apartment because, that this is what we're all talking about now after Palisades was on fire, there's an Eaton fire. Santa Monica, the evacuation zone is getting closer and closer. So people are like, important documents. I'm like, I don't have any. Take your
Well,
valuables. I
yeah,
look
you do
around.
though. Like you don't want to you lose your license or your,
Oh, you got it.
your,
I packed,
yeah.
of course, my wallet and my passport, even if that's it, because like marriage license, all these other things, they're replaceable. Like you could find them, right? I just looked at my cats. So my husband was traveling for work, so he wasn't there. But he told me that there's like this huge go bag that he has that you can survive 4 days in the wilderness with. I swear to God.
That's
I
smart.
Yeah, I had to pick it. It's like 50 pounds. I like put it in my trunk, the two cats and passport and license. Because I literally was like, I have no valuables. That was my big
But
My
it all
big-
depends on what it means for you. It's not always like a
right.
financial thing, right?
Right.
Like, our
Then I thought,
family.
yeah,
Hmm.
then I was like, oh, I could have taken like photos or my
Yeah.
dad's, things of my dad that can't be replaced. So now I have a better idea of that.
Write a list. Like seriously, because then you'll remember, and you can also separate your photos. Like these are the ones that I have to have.
So everyone, that's just a little tip I wanted to point out. So go back to now. Where are you? So when do you finally get to the beach to see your daughter?
Well,
And
they took Arno way down, and then I was on the PCH, and I knew that we were safe at that point.
but the PCH wound up burning too.
But at that time, traffic was flowing. Do you know what I mean? Like there were police down there navigating where people can go. And so by then
Right.
I was out of the gridlock. But that was like 2.5 hours later, which normally takes me 2 minutes to get there.
Sure.
So I knew that we were safe. And then we just drove up to my friend's house in Santa Monica and
Mhm.
regroup. But then we had to evacuate from their house as well.
Ugh.
So then we're on the go again to pack up the cat, put him in the car,
Poor Oliver.
And then we came to their other house in Studio City.
Okay. Wow.
So then we were all in one
And
house for a little while.
and how long did it take for you to actually find out about your house? And can you share with everybody about your
Uh,
house?
so the first 24 hours, I'd say first 72 to 3 days. I can't even think. I'm like, how many days is that? Um, I would say, look, and I also lost a tooth, you guys. Okay, like so much has happened. So if you see I have a hole here, it's because I lost a tooth. I'm getting it
I
fixed on
can't see
Friday.
it.
It's so embarrassing. It's so much has happened, all within the last few days. And I got bronchitis. So the thing that was the most difficult to deal with, and that was like really, really, really brutal, was everybody is clamoring for information.
Right.
So what does everybody do? We're all scouring the news, we're scouring the internet, we're scouring, our next door app, we're scouring anybody that lives in the area. We're just like, who has video? Did our house survive? Like
Right.
there's apps and stuff that you can go to, but they didn't always update fast enough. And there was a lot of
Mhm.
people on it and you couldn't really understand it. It looked like there were so many times when we totally thought our house was completely burnt down. And then times when we thought maybe it's not. But in trying to get the information, the proof that everybody wants, they want video to see if
Mhm.
their house is still there or not. So you're not going to get that while the fires are still in your area. But
Right.
as the fires were passing, people were getting in there. I don't know how, but some people just got in there on their motorcycles or bikes, and there was people taking video. And so we found about 3 or 4 videos that were on our street, but then right before they get to our house, they would stop the video.
Mm.
So, you're in limbo and everyone is just clamoring. Like it's so stressful. It is so entirely stressful. And then you start getting all the breakout groups on WhatsApp. And we
Right.
found out that, 2 people passed away on our street
Oh
out in
no.
time. No, our area was hard. It was one of the hardest hit areas. I
Oh,
still have not been to my house. I'm not allowed to go to my house right now. It's
right.
been almost 3 weeks.
Tell everyone it's still standing.
So
Oh,
our house is still standing. We don't know how. It is amongst complete Armageddon.
I
So
saw
there's our house, and there's like 4 homes right here, and then for miles, it's just completely gone. Like everything's just
that
gone.
is so
Mind blowing. So the thing is that, being somebody who I am living the life of someone whose house is still standing. There is a lot of, the survivor's guilt that goes along with that. But now we're realizing that we're also in a separate category where it's very difficult for us to get help. It's difficult for us to get information.
right.
We're being told that our house is filled with toxins.
Right.
And like it's a whole other mess that we have to deal with. I'm still very displaced. We're now
Right.
living in a different part of town.
And you have
And
no idea when you'll be able to go back.
I have
And
no idea when we're going to go back or what condition the house will be in.
right.
Now we're hearing that the few houses that have survived are filled with rats and animals because they're looking for food. Yeah. And so, we don't know. There's looters. Like our houses, the ones that are there are very, very vulnerable, especially the few that are in little pods and then everything else is gone. So it's just, you're sitting here where you're just in limbo and you get to this point where you're like, okay, that's just the way that it's going to be.
Yeah.
No control.
No control. And this is, another thing that we can probably talk about for hours, which is like How do you get through this? Like, how are you just coping day to day when you can't control the situation? And again, this can relate to lots of folks who have gone through any type or are going through any type of, trauma, drama, tragedy, where you really just can't control the situation.
The thing that has pulled me through all of this is my friends and my community.
Hmm.
I do a lot of public speaking, just like
Yes.
you. And one of the things I talk about is that your net worth is your network. And in
Yeah.
a situation like this, I can't even tell you how that has so become true.
Yeah.
Because it's because of my friends and all the people that I know that I was accepted into the WhatsApp groups, that I was asked to show up at some certain fundraisers and help my friends and help other people and be a connector type of person.
Hmm.
I helped a friend of mine. She was just given $10,000 and
I
I'm
saw
helping her.
that by Tony Robbins.
Yeah. And the Dream Center. Yeah.
Amazing. Art.
Financially, it's very devastating for most people.
Yeah.
There's very few people. Like we also know friends that just went and bought a new house and they
Wow.
register their kids into a new area and they're just new chapter,
Wow. Hmm.
But for most of us, especially, there's a lot of people in the Palisades that were really struggling before this even happened
Sure.
because a lot of people were in the entertainment business. And we know that after COVID, we had 3 strikes. We had the entertainment business is literally left California. It's not even existent barely there
Wow.
in LA anymore. It's all gone to Canada because there's like 40 cents on the dollar there. And, it has been a rough few years for many of us that are in the
Yeah.
entertainment business just to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah.
And I had to switch, I'm still a TV host, but I went and I got my real estate license. And now my area, which is the Palisades,
Hmm.
is all gone.
Oh
So
God, Tanya, I didn't even think of
I
that.
know, I've had to start over so many different times. But you know what? Like, I think as just a normal person who wasn't born into or doesn't have a trust fund waiting for me, you know what I mean? Life is hard. We got have our ups and downs, and
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of people that can relate to the struggles of,
Yeah. So that's how you're coping, just realizing that there's gonna be ups and downs,
and your friends.
community, which is
Yeah.
so important. And so, it's not lost on me that our last episode was called Finding the Gold at Rock Bottom. Now, I would
Yes.
say you're still in the valley, so
Another one.
different
Another
valley.
valley. A
A,
different one.
do you still believe that to be true?
I mean, yeah, of course I do. It all depends on how you can look at it. And I think that if I didn't think that was true, I would be like, why am I like it's such a fundamental belief that, and I have seen it happen with so many people. I still believe, like I said, last night we went for a drink and we have our moments where we just break down into tears, and then we have our moments because our whole life is gone, like as we knew it.
Yeah,
It was all set up so amazing. He and I worked so hard to have that house in the Palisades. We had a little house, but it was our beautiful little house
beautiful.
and we loved it. And my daughter was so safe there. The Palisades is a very safe community in a very unsafe city.
Yeah.
So anyone who gets to live there, we were blessed every day that we could barely afford it, but we did it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that we were talking about it last night, and I don't know yet because I'm having a really hard time getting myself back into the game and back into reality and business stuff. I'm still building my courses online and I worked really hard to do that. And
Yep.
I just can't seem to get back to it yet. I
Right.
can't seem to step into selling homes and starting in a new area yet. But I have to now, like I have to rebuild myself.
Right.
And so I know that there is gold still in the rock bottom, but I think sometimes it'll come, you know? But if I were to say to you right now what it was, like the things that I have noticed is that the community here has come out so tenfold. I have connected, like I met Melissa, Melissa Ziegler from Dance Moms. So I met her. I don't watch Dance Moms either, but like my daughter knew who she was
Oh,
and she knows
really?
who her daughters are. They're super famous. And so like we've connected with people like that. She's
Uh-huh.
now like a super good friend of mine. She took my daughter under her wing and she was like this little angel, and she took Ava to go get all her beauty products and all these different places.
Um,
She is volunteering like crazy. I
um,
reconnected with my friend Sally at the Dream Center. I
mhm.
have had people that I barely talk to reach out and wish me well. And in life, I'm in my 50s now. So there's certain relationships I've had, business or personal, where it didn't really end that great.
Right.
And it's like those are the people that ended up, not all of them, but most of them have reached out. And it's
Wow.
almost like in a life or death situation, whatever happened between you guys just doesn't even matter anymore. So
Right.
there's a lot of healing. There's
Right.
a lot of healing that happens in a situation like that.
Wow, that's really beautiful. And I honestly didn't even expect you to see the gold just yet because you
Yeah.
really are still in it, which again reminds me of how I went through that so many years ago. And it wasn't until many, many years later that I was able to look back and see how that time in my life completely put me on a different path in life, right? I became a
Yeah.
personal trainer, da, 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 all that stuff. But so years from now, right, you could be looking back on this time and be like, wow, not that we have to be thankful for these terrible things. I don't believe in that. I don't think we have to say, oh, thank you for burning my
No,
house
I'm not there
down.
yet.
No, I don't think we really ever need to do that, but we can thank ourselves for getting
Yeah.
through it and putting one foot in front of the other every single day that you wake up and you have the gift of life, right?
No, it's true because I look back on that day and there could have been 10 other scenarios that would have been 1,000 times worse.
Right?
Maybe OT and I weren't home that day and my mother was left in the house with no car. It's weird why we were even home on that Tuesday because usually I'm
Wow.
at the studio doing some filming. He's at work in the middle of Santa Monica. There's no way we would have made it home.
Oh
So
my
there's
God.
always that. But moving forward, I know that situations like this make me wiser, more relatable,
Mm,
and just it gives you this ability to weather life in a way from a different perspective and help others kind of pull them through it as well. So
yeah.
I know that when I do, because I know I will get another TV show and
Mm,
I'm on camera again, whatever that is, I'll have so much more grounded wisdom to share because I've been through it.
yep.
To the people that I help sell houses to now, in the area that I'm in, which is Studio City. And, I have so much, not only have I traveled the entire country selling homes on TV, but I have so much to offer my clients now because
Right.
I know what home is and I know what it's like to have your home taken away. And I know what it's like to create a new chapter and all of that because I'm living it. So I take that into the new chapter of my life in my career and in my personal life.
I love when interviews just come so full circle. So I'm going to read that last line of your bio one more time before it makes me cry. But Tanya has a natural passion for helping homeowners create the perfect sanctuary. Just that word brings me to tears by bringing more love and inspiration into their home and their lives. Tanya, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you
Okay.
for having me on.
Oh my God. I just would love for everyone share, how we can get in touch with you. And also if there's any way, I know there's a lot of folks either here in LA where we're also a little overwhelmed, like how do we help? And or people anywhere in the world, how can they help? Like what are the best things that you've seen that have really been making a difference?
But if you know somebody that's directly affected by the fire, send them money.
Yeah.
Send them $100, send them $50, send them $25
Yep.
because it's money what they need.
Yep.
The entire community has come together to provide clothing, necessities, cosmetics, all that stuff. They're going to get that.
Right.
But there are so many things that I've been living without that I'm just trying to piece together.
Right.
Everybody's insurance situation is very different, so don't
Right.
assume. If you know someone who has been affected tragically, they might need some help, like really need help,
Mm.
send them some money. That's what they need.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you don't know
And if you
anybody,
don't know, yeah.
then just contribute to either volunteer if you live in LA or contribute to whatever foundation you resonate with. But it is so important to be there for one another as humans.
Right.
Because look, I never thought I would ever be affected by a Mother Nature disaster like this ever in my life. We never
Yeah.
think it's going to happen to us, but these
Yeah.
things do.
And they're going
And
to continue to
and they're
happen
going to
all over the
continue.
country. Hmm.
And they're going to continue. And I had friends like reach out, what can I do? What can I do? You are coming from this side. I'm so not able to answer that question.
Right.
So just do it.
Yeah.
So I had my friend, Chef Katie. She's a famous chef. She dropped off food and a care package for Ava. She just did it. I had
Oh,
other friends just show up. Like, I can't even think. They're like, I had people go, can I do this, this, this? I'm like, I have 400,000 of their text messages to answer. I don't know.
mhm.
Don't let them think. Don't let them answer.
Right.
Just do it. Drop something off at their house, send them a little bit of money.
Right.
Everything helps, but don't have them have to answer. It's really
Answer.
hard to ask for help, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so hard to ask for help, especially somebody, I've had a lot in my life and I've also not had a lot. I've been on both sides
Right.
and it's really hard to ask for help.
Right.
So
That is
that
such
is
a
just
good
what I
reminder.
have
That
to
is
say about
such a
that.
good reminder. Yeah. Thank you. And how can people find you, connect with you?
To connect with me, my social media at Tanya Memme official, or is it official Tanya Memme? But anyways, it has a blue dot. By the way, YouTube I can't get my channel back. It was hacked and I lost all my 36,000 followers. So I started a new channel. I think I have 4 followers. If you feel like following, great. If you don't, that's okay. I'm out there on social media.
Yes.
And just send me a DM. I'd love to hear from any of you. And,
Yeah.
thanks, Jen. You're one of my favorite people on the whole planet. And I can't
Oh
wait to
gosh.
celebrate when I'm
Yeah.
past all of this. Or,
Yes.
commiserate over a drink.
Yes. And that is another good reminder, just anyone out there listening, that this is going to be a long game. So at first, I think, especially everyone in LA was like, want to help, want to help, want to help. And then, you know, I know things fizzle out over time, but these folks are going to need help for months, possibly years.
Yeah,
So
we have a long road ahead.
yeah, it's a long road, and we are sending you so much love to you, your
Thank
family, your friends, your community, your neighborhoods, folks out in Altadena, everybody there affected as well, wherever you are in Los Angeles and you were affected by these fires. We love you and thank you so much. Tanya, thank you. If you can help in any way, Tanya gave the instructions. I love an organization called World Central Kitchen by Jose Chef Andres. He was out, his people are always out on the front lines feeding folks, first responders, etc. But again, there's Red Cross, there's so many other ones as well. So thank you everyone for listening. As usual, please subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss the next one. I will be on a much more regular schedule going forward for the entire year. I have lots of amazing guests lined up, and please leave a review if you'd like to as well. Thank you so much and stay safe out there.